Hi guys, welcome to this video. This video has been something I've been wanting to talk about for a while but never really had the courage to do so. But now here I am. I think it is important as a K-pop fan and a human to acknowledge this. This should never be something ignored just because it's too quote-unquote controversial. I think the more it is talked about the less it'll be normalized. Now without further ado, let's get started. For anyone who needs a clear definition of what cultural appropriation is, here it is. It is the adoption or co-opting, usually without acknowledgement of cultural identity markers associated with or originating in minority communities by people or communities with a relatively privileged status. Examples of this could be stage outfits, hairstyles, religious use, accessories, costumes, etc. For some it might not seem like such a big deal, but to others these things have history behind them. I don't plan on giving a history lesson right now, but all I have to say is Google is free. Anyways, now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about it. A lot of people can react to cultural appropriation very differently. Some may not care, some may be offended, some may be angry, or some may be disappointed. Either way, we have no place to judge the way how others feel. If someone feels offended, don't tell them to get over it. If someone gets mad, don't tell them it's not a big deal. If you are not associated with the culture that is being appropriated, you have no reason to have an opinion on it. Thinking you have a say in something just because you like the group is an act of ignorance. No one has the place to tell someone else how they should feel. Instead, hear them out and listen. Learn why it wasn't okay for that idol to be wearing that. Everyone who gets hurt by cultural appropriation always have a reason, but shutting them down and telling them to get over it is never the answer. There's always room to grow and there's so much to learn about cultures. You should just listen. When talking about groups who cultural appropriated, it's always important to see whether the artist knew what they did was wrong and learned something out of it. It leads to good character development and knowing more, but the effort has to be noticeable. It's important to see the outcome of changes. There are many examples of artists learning and becoming more educated on matters like these. But there are unfortunately also artists who don't acknowledge what they've done and don't seem to grow, which is sad to see. As fans, we should encourage our idols to broaden their views on cultures and learn the do's and don'ts. But we should never defend them on their actions, which leaves me to my next point. Defending idols who have done cultural appropriation will do nothing good for the idol. It only makes you look like you're trying to ignore others' perspectives. Trying to convince others that what the artist did wasn't that bad is ignoring to acknowledge what your idol did was wrong. I see many fans trying to reiterate what they were actually doing or explain why they were doing it, but it never makes the situation better. Defending and explaining idols' wrongdoings only makes it worse. You can't live up to the expectation thinking that your idol is perfect and that they can never do something wrong, because in a lot of cases they can. Idols can fuck up, but refusing to acknowledge it is ignorant and immature. Instead, come to the conclusion and know what your idol did was wrong. Idols won't grow as humans if they keep having people protecting them. Tell them they fucked up. Tell them it was wrong. Don't try to sugarcoat it just because you think your idol would never do such a thing. Please respect those who were insulted by what an idol has done. This next one is sort of drifting away from cultural appropriation and leading more into culturally insensitive. There's really no other way of explaining this other than being blatantly disrespectful to culture or a group of people. AKA the idol was being dumb and defending them is absolutely pointless. Unfortunately, there are actually examples of this, but I don't want to talk about this for too long. But shit like this shouldn't happen. Idols should know better. Especially since K-pop is becoming more and more diverse every day. And especially if the idol was born outside of Korea. They all know better and should know better. You defending them and telling others that they're being too sensitive is extremely disrespectful. There shouldn't be a reason why they said the N-word on a live. They should know better. And don't come up with the excuse of, well, they live in Korea so they don't know. Because that excuse doesn't work anymore. Like I said before, K-pop is super diverse. And there are fans from all over the world who listen to K-pop and have different backgrounds. So using that argument won't work on international fans. I'll keep this one short. But there are many situations where someone wants to cancel an idol for doing something that really was misunderstood. These situations are very rare, but they do happen. Being quick to judge an idol even though you don't fully know the situation is extremely immature. Again, unless it is affecting you personally, then you have no right to be the judge. If you want to cancel someone just because you think it'd be funny is wrong. Not everything is cultural appropriation. There are many examples of groups using cultures in a respectful manner. You just need to learn the difference between cultural appropriation and appreciation. You can't call everything appropriation just because you think it is. Learn the difference. Now I want to briefly explain my opinion on this matter. If you didn't know, I am a Hispanic K-pop fan and I come from a city that is full of different heritages, and luckily I am somewhat educated. But I am still learning. As someone who truly has an issue with this, it is really frustrating to see this keep happening. I think because K-pop is now very much more diverse than it used to be, it's much easier to find out about it. And because it is extremely diverse, idols should be more considerate of international fans. To some of you it might seem unnecessary, but if groups want to have a bigger audience, they need to take in account of cultures. And constantly doing cultural appropriation isn't gonna get them anywhere. Like I said before, I think as fans we should encourage our idols to learn more. There's always room to learn and grow. And I also think as fans we should always call out idols if needed. It's never wrong to make someone understand what they did was wrong. Gatekeeping idols with this type of knowledge will only continue with these situations. Idols should have at least some sort of education of cultures, whether it be only a few or multiple. But wanting your idols to be more educated is never wrong. Hopefully cultural appropriation will be denormalized soon. Anyways, that was it for this video. I hope you get a better understanding on why this matters. If there are any hateful comments about this, just know I will be quick to remove them. Please be considerate of others. And please always listen. Also, please don't forget to check out the links I have in the description. Bye for now.